This week we've had very tragic events in Haiti to do with the earthquake there. Many people lost their lives, and I can see that being a humanitarian tragedy. It goes on for a very long time.
Yes, I completely concur with that, my dear friend. It is a total tragedy. I would have to say that every single life lost is not doesn't mean to say that it's all at the behest of human beings, or that someone or all of them are at fault, or that it's some curse upon them, or anything like that. It is a situation that you have to understand. When living in a physical life, when spirit have a physical existence, they are at risk to the events which are created by the living system upon which they are realizing their journey and center of purpose, hopefully, within their lifetime experience. That does not mean to say this is something which was sequestered by the planet itself. What human beings have to understand, with spirituality or not, the earth itself is a physical biological system which actually, through the tectonic plate system of its makeup, simply means that various things happen. And most of the natural disasters which happen upon the planet are really to do with this system of plate technology, and how the planet itself works and realigns itself has nothing to do with whether there are human physical beings or animals or insects or anything else alive upon its surface. It is not a situation which then is for retribution of one thing or another, not there to teach anyone anything. The situation of how human beings may then bring about an understanding or a kindred spiritist view of what has taken place, then oftentimes will garland certain kinds of energies about their own inflexible nature, or sometimes about their own inability to cope with such tragedies and problems, which then create lessons upon lessons of learning for that whole community, or for that whole scenario of beings to learn from. And that doesn't mean to say it's a lesson by God in order to bring this about. That would be an absolute travesty and a complete lack of understanding of what the energy of the creation of all life actually is. You could then say, oh, well, is it then another act of the divine purpose, if you like, that the planet itself be crushed by some conflict of two other stars colliding or something like that? What exactly would be the purpose of it, supposedly to teach that community a lesson, or to teach that community something of the divine purpose of the will of souls, to then perhaps gather themselves and learn some great tragedy, like as though you were watching some marvelous play by Dickens or anyone else? I would have to say, dear friend, that these kinds of reflections can then oftentimes leave many human beings feeling very isolated and very cut off from their own spirituality, purely and simply because they're made to focus on something that actually has nothing whatsoever to do with the tragedy concerned. What we have to say is that in all respects, we give all of our love to all of those who passed in this great tragic circumstance, which was not created by human beings, was not sanctioned by them, was not sanctioned by their spirit either. But in fact, in point of fact, maybe if there are lessons to learn from humanity, it would be, how do we rescue people in dire consequence? You cannot rescue them all, but perhaps the time state that you recognize, where you are preconditioning your quality of caste, of how you think upon one tribe or another, or their behavior or activity, one could say that that, in point of fact, may be one of the lessons to learn from this experience, that human beings must stop prejudging another tribal community, another condition. And instead of looking always to history when it's convenient, oh, well, I will not go into there because they're a den of thieves, actually do something that's real. If they need provisions, then set it in, drop it out of a plane, do anything. If you don't want to set foot on the ground, then simply give it to them in some other way. Give them the food, the water, the shelters, whatever they need. If you cannot actually give it to them, you're too afraid of them to give it to them with your hands, then throw it out of one of the vehicles that you have that enables it to happen. Don't just sit there and watch and wait for something else to tell you or someone else to tell you, oh, well, it's all very well. Yes, it's safe now because 200,000 people have died. So that's all right. The dust has settled and we can simply pick our way into the place. It would be much of a worry to us on our side of life if no one learned any lessons from this experience. And our hearts and our love go undeniably and empathically to all of those who have passed to our side of life as the consequence directly of this.
We spoke about this before, but there does seem to be an ongoing trend with tectonic plates, doesn't there?
Yes.
An increase in earthquakes.
I completely agree with you, my dear Fred. My point, however, is that at this present time, you see, you actually have the problems are within the land masses that exist. For example, at this present time, there is still great pressure building up and has not really been released yet within the Pacific northern plate. That has a great deal of pressure upon it, particularly in the northeastern part of the plate itself. That is on the country that borders it, would be really to do with Alberta, to do with Alaska, the states of Oregon, California, and that kind of situation, because it's been released at the other end of it, really to do with the Philippines and all of that part, the archipelago of Australia. All of that has, in a sense, been released, although there's still some intrusion there, I understand, and still some further situations of release that are going to be carried out. But I understand now it's as though the energy is switching the other way. I understand also that there was a great release from the Japanese situation just a little while ago. So that now has meant that there's even a larger build-up on the western coast of North America. Also, of course, with this current situation of Haiti, that there is now further pressure around other parts of that particular Gulf rim, really, to do with the south of the rim itself, of Nicaragua and other parts as well, to do with the north of Brazil and this kind of situation, that event, which can only, in a sense, transpire, I understand, then further out into the West African coast as well. Mm. You will see other situations which happen from time to time. Tectonic plate shifts are simply the Earth settling back from pressures building once in a sense, releases within the ocean floor. Much of the whole status of it really is simply because of the way that the planet was originally formed.
So what's caused the build-up recently?
There will be cycles and periods of this, my dear friend, actually over either 700-year cycles or something similar to that. It depends upon the place. Each place has a certain cycle of its own. Each tectonic plate has a specific cycle, depending, of course, on whether the obstructions facing it in its movement are going to be inherent of a problem or not. it's also amplified by various other conditions to do with climatic control. This is a part really where humanity has yet to really fully understand or discover that climatic control actually plays a very large part in tectonic plate movement. It's not at the behest of tectonic plate movement as many people think. So in actual fact, you have various conditions where this change in salinity of the oceans will actually cause different frequencies of undercurrent, which then happen and change themselves. So you will see different climatic controls coming away from this as well. Nothing, of course, of the type and form that it was millions of years ago when various volcanoes which had erupted and mountain ranges which were created from it simply blacked out the earth for thousands of years.